Hey there everyone, welcome to another video of my video game systems and game collection. I just did a video about this a month ago, but I decided to do another one because I'm going to explain a little more about them, and plus I got some new ideas coming up for my channel. But this time I actually got some of the cartridges and controllers in here, but this is the original Atari 2600. I bought this at a pawn shop. This was the very first video game system I had ever owned. But this particular one here I recently got at a pawn shop, and as you can see, the controller just had a joystick which moved around and just one button on the top. Cartridges, pretty small. This one was Keystone Capers. Just slide it in right here, and it's got the power button. It's got, you could choose between color or black and white, which is kind of weird. But, you know, that was the early days of Atari. I guess they might have thought, people might think that was cool. Keystone Capers, Q*bert. Unfortunately, we have seen Keystone Capers Atari game, but it wasn't this particular cartridge. We've seen that on the PlayStation disc, which has a bunch of Activision Atari games. But eventually I plan on getting the power cord for this Atari, which I lost, and so we can actually do some uploads of Atari games, but I want to build a big collection of Atari games before actually doing that. Next we got the original Nintendo, and this is the controller. I think the last time I showed the Nintendo, I don't think I actually put the controller in there, but as you can see, the Nintendo controller is a little more upgraded than the Atari. It's got the directional pad here, it's got select, start, B and A. And the games slid in like this. Really push them in sometimes. And you get your power and reset button. You can plug in two controllers. The Atari, you could also plug in two controllers. There's the port on the back. I guess I should have shown the back too, but you got one port for the controller. That thing right there, it's kind of hard. The light's not getting on it very good, but that's a switch you could choose between channel 3 and 4. There's where you plug in your power. And oh no, those buttons are difficulties between A and B, which I don't even remember those, but there's the port for the other controller, and there's where you switch channel 3 or 4. Anyways, the Nintendo's, it's got two buttons on it. It's got two plugins for the controllers. So, Nintendo's, now the Atari I mentioned was my very first video game system. I got that probably back in 86, 85 or 86. I would have been about 10 years old. I was born in 76. The Nintendo came out in 85. We got ours for Christmas of 88, so that was the day after my 12th birthday. Next, we have the Game Boy, which I recently did a video on, and pretty much just like the Nintendo, it's got the directional buttons, select, start, B and A. This one runs on batteries, AA batteries. Unfortunately, this particular Game Boy does not work. And down here you can plug in headphones. Here's the little game, slides right in, and it's power button right on top. Over here you got your volume button, and here's where you could plug in a cord to link it to another Game Boy, and you can actually do two players in some games. Over here you got a plug-in where, in case you don't want to use batteries, if you want to plug it into your wall, you could do that. Over here we have a contrast button, which I guess if it gets fuzzy you could focus it in. Over here we got the Super Nintendo. Actually we got two of them. That's because this yellow one right here was the very first was my actual Super Nintendo that I got for Christmas of 1993. So yeah, see the Nintendo which I had in 88. Right around 93, towards the end of 93, I was having problems where you had to take the games out and blowing them. Now, I think anyone who's owned a Nintendo had to do that, but it was getting to the point where I had to do it so much, it was just time for an upgrade. And Super Nintendo was out, so in 1993 I got Super Nintendo. And this is the exact same one I got 21 years ago. A little over 20 years ago. 20 and a half years, we'll say. This here Super Nintendo is the more recent one I just got. A lot cleaner looking. Probably not as used quite as much. Controller. A little more buttons to deal with. You got the Y and X button added. Plus, you still got the B and A that the Nintendo controller had. You also got the L and R button on top, so... Look at the two controllers, a little updated. That blue number 1 right there, that doesn't come with the controller. I drew that on there so I wouldn't get my controllers mixed up. But there is one thing I want to point out. If you're going to buy an old Super Nintendo system or a video game system that plays Super Nintendo games and you're going to get a controller, you're best off to make sure it says Super Nintendo on the top, because I once bought some generic controllers that didn't have the Super Nintendo label on there, and they work with most games, but if you're playing some games like Tecmo Super Bowl, where you got to use the down and right at the same time, like running down and right, you run to the left. Same thing if you press down and left, your character runs to the right. So that was a glitch in the generic controllers, so I highly recommend going with the original Super Nintendo controllers. So, okay, I guess we're going to have to go over to here, because the next system I got was the Nintendo 64. I keep paper towels on them to keep them covered from dust, but this is the oh no, this isn't the actual Nintendo 64 I got when I was younger, but that one broke. But this is the actual game, Super Mario 64. I also got GoldenEye and Mario Kart 64. Those 3 cartridges I have now are the same ones I had then. And these controllers, kind of buried. A lot more buttons on these. You get your directional buttons as usual. This one doesn't have a select button because I guess there was really no point in it. I guess the Nintendo company finally realized, well, instead of using the select button, you could just use up or down. This is the analog one where it's a lot more fluent movement. You still get your B and A buttons. This has 3 yellow buttons, the C buttons, which are C up, C left, C down, and C right. Still has the L and R buttons on the tops. This one's got a trigger button on the back, which makes pretty good for games like GoldenEye, where it's a shooting game. The Nintendo 64 I got in 1997. I was like 21 years old then, and I bought GoldenEye and pretty much the games I just mentioned, Super Mario 64 and Mario Kart 64. The other system I got in 99 was the Sony PlayStation. I don't have that system anymore. I got rid of it because I got the PS2. Just sitting right up here. And I guess I forgot to mention the Nintendo 64's got 4 controller ports on the front, so you can plug in 4 controllers and play 4-player games. PS2, 2 controller ports. Those are memory cards in there. These games are discs, which go in like just regular CDs. You got your power button here. Now I'm not going to show all the plugins in the back because it's just too much of a hassle trying to pull them off. Those are plugged in right now. And next, we're going to go back to video game systems, and the next one I'm going to show is the Retron 3. I mentioned, actually, okay, back over here. The next video game system I got after that was actually the Wii. So right there's the Wii, and this one you got the power button on here. You can put games in there, but I've never actually put a game in there. The games are discs, like CDs, but I've never actually used one. I just downloaded games. Here's the controller. You got your wand. I use the classic controller because there's some games where it's required, like Super Mario World. If you download that one on the Wii, that one's a requirement. So anyway, you just plug your Wii right into the wand and it's wireless. And that's just got a power button right there. It's got a little compartment here if you want to put an SD card in there to download games onto. The next system I got, see, after I got the Wii, now I got the Wii in, okay, I just forgot to mention that PS2 I got in 2006, but anyways, the Wii I got in 2010, and the only reason I got that was to download games, or no, 2011 I got that, and I got it to download original Nintendo games, but the list of games was kind of limited. They really didn't have a whole big selection, so I decided to start buying some old Nintendo games. And one of the systems I got is the Retro Duo Portable, which I did a video on this. Actually, my very first upload was on this system. It's got your directional buttons here. It's got Y, X, B, and A. You could put Super Nintendo cartridges into the top of it. There's also an adapter where you can put regular Nintendo cartridges into it. The only problem with this, I think I already mentioned in the previous videos, it's got select start, volume button in the bottom, and it's got the AV connection up here, or you can also plug headphones into that. But the problem I noticed with the Retro Duo Portable, some of the Nintendo games, the sound quality is kind of poor. It's like, sounds really distorted. So anyways, the next system I got, come back over here, got the Retron 3. Now this one is pretty cool because it comes with a controller, a wireless controller that runs on batteries, and you can use it as like a Nintendo or Sega controller because it plays Super Nintendo games, regular Nintendo games, and Sega Genesis games. It's got the power button here, which is broke. I broke it. It's got the knob to turn from NES to Genesis to Super NES. And it's got the reset button, and the thing I like the most is the controller ports. You plug a Super Nintendo controller into the front ports, regular Nintendo controller into the side ports, and Sega Genesis into that side. And I guess you could also plug an Atari controller in because the Sega Genesis controllers and Atari controllers had the same fittings. But it'd be kind of hard using an Atari controller for Genesis games since there's only one button. Next I got the Retron. The reason I bought this is because the NES part of this wasn't working that good. Sometimes the games were just as bad as the original Nintendo. You had to keep blowing on them. Now this Retron, the games worked a lot better in it, but they were really hard to get out. I had to really yank them out of there. This only played NES games, so it only had ports for NES controllers. Unfortunately, I destroyed it because it wasn't working. Kind of got mad and threw it. So that's pretty much all the information on the systems I got here in my bed. There's where the Super Nintendo games plug into. And the first port. And regular NES games, if I can get this out, goes into the back video game port, and I guess Genesis games go into the middle port. I think I actually got, I know I actually do have a couple Genesis games, I just don't have them here, but come back over to my computer desk drawer where I have a Genesis game. So this is what a Genesis cartridge looks like. Unfortunately, I never owned a Sega Genesis. I do have some Genesis games on my channel, which were games I downloaded on the Wii. But Genesis games are supposed to go in there, but they don't seem to fit. Unless maybe I got it backwards. No, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's a Nintendo, so I don't know why the Sega Genesis game won't fit where it's supposed to. Anyway, next system is the most recent one I got. By the way, this is my bed that all the games are on. This is my table that I actually used to record. These the stack of tapes right here is where I always have this camera sitting, pointing right at my TV. So there's the Ataris, or the VCR DVD player combos on top. You might have seen me pass back, those are my movies, my movie collection. Mostly old 80s and 90s movies, big Star Trek DVD collection at the bottom. But, also on my table, Game Genie. I recently got that for the Nintendo. I'm going to be doing some games. This is the code book. And now there's one game I wanted to do. See, there's a lot of games I played on Nintendo that I can't beat. So with this book, I figured I can go ahead and use the Game Genie, play some games, but unfortunately it turns out one of the games I want to do, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so that one's really hard. Should be on page, yeah, it should be on page 180. Or no, wait, that's 180. So it should be on page 178, but check this out. It goes from this page to this page, which is 176, so it's missing a page in there. And of course, there you got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 on this page. The page missing has the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game on it. I recently got that off eBay. Okay, now, by the way, the PS2, I guess I forgot to show the controllers for that. It's got the directional buttons. Left analog, right analog, select, start. It's got L1 and L2, R1, R2. And instead of letters, they used shapes, which I think is really kind of weird and frustrating. Square, triangle, X, and circle. Why didn't they just copy off Nintendo and use the letters? I mean, Sega had letters, A, B, and C on their controllers. Anyway, next system is the Retron, or the Retro Duo. Now this one plays Nintendo and Super Nintendo games. This is one I've been using recently. I've noticed it seems to have the same problem as the Retro Duo Portable. Some of the NES games, the sound is kind of distorted, but I guess we'll just have to live with that. Otherwise, maybe I'll just buy another Retron, because the sound came in perfect on the Retron. Then again, the Retron was designed specifically for the Nintendo games. This one, they might have put more effort into the Super Nintendo part than the Nintendo part, or maybe they couldn't find a way to make them both compatible. So, take a look at my computer desk next. This is, by the way, my TV right here. Right next to it is my computer desk. And there's my computer, which the screen is shattered, so that's why I got an HDMI cord plugged into the TV. Got another N64 controller. This is my phone. This is originally what I used to record my videos on. Kind of weird. I actually used to set it up on these tapes right here. Put a couple hockey pucks right here and set my camera up right in between the hockey pucks, so it was pointed right at the TV. So this is my, oh, that's my son right there. He's 11 years old, just turned 11. This right here is the battery for the camera I'm currently using, and I got the extra battery plus this portable charger here, so that way if this battery goes dead, I can pull that one right out. Over here, connected to my computer, all this cord is what I use to upload the videos from my camera to my computer. Plugged into the other USB port. Okay, that's not what I was looking for. Okay, it's not plugged into the USB port right now, but this right here is the Retrobit NES adapter. This is what I use to play a Bobo's Big Adventure. You plug your NES controller into here, and the other end of it plugs into the USB port. That way you plug your Nintendo controller right into the computer if you want to play games online. And we got my drawer here. Now, we got some games in this drawer. And the reason I have these games in the drawer is because these are the Nintendo games that we have not seen on my channel yet. I don't want to put them on my video game shelf until after we actually get to see them. So, here's a little look at games to come: Anticipation, Fester's Quest, Tecmo World Wrestling, Sesame Street 1, 2, 3. Got some Super Nintendo games, T2, Terminator 2, but I really don't want to do that one until we get the first Terminator game. Ken Griffey Jr. Baseball, Super NBA, or Tecmo Super NBA Basketball. Not sure if I ever played that one or not. A new N64 game, which I recently got. NFL Quarterback Club 98. Never played that one before. I just bought it at the pawn shop. Here's the game Genie I was talking about. So far I tried that on one game, which was Contra. And I actually did a full playthrough of the game. I didn't do a video of it, but I played through the whole game with using the game Genie. Beat it, because enemies weren't shooting at me. And we'll do uploads of NES games though. Wii Points card, this is one I haven't used yet, so I'll be downloading some more games. Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. We've got Best of the... Oh, I did do an upload of some of these games. Right here in the middle, like Best of the Best, Karate Champ, and Clay Fighter, Super Bases Loaded, Royal Rumble. Now this one here says NCAA Basketball is actually Super Mario All-Stars. I had to have it fixed. Here's my other Genesis game by Tengen, Miss Pac-Man. Maybe that is why the Sonic game didn't fit. Maybe it was an unlicensed game, I don't know. And there are my other two games, Home Alone and Fall of the Foot Clan, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We also got NES Play Action Football we have not seen yet, Golf, Xenophobe, Iron Sword, Wizards and Warriors 2. We want to get the first one before we do that one. Most of these games that I'm mentioning I haven't even played before. Now the ones we've seen on my channel I have played. Got Dragon Warrior, and we got the Super Game Boy with Tetris. Yeah, I have 2 copies of Tetris on the Game Boy. This is the one I recently got. The one I showed before that I actually put in the Game Boy was the actual Tetris that I had as a kid, and the Game Boy was also the actual Game Boy I had as a kid. Here's another copy of Home Alone. I accidentally got 2 copies for some reason when I ordered one. I found this pretty interesting. The NES Play Action Football game I recently bought at the pawn shop came with the instruction booklet. So it's kind of cool. You don't see these anymore. It's been years since I've actually seen the NES booklet, but I always used to like looking at these. Just the pictures were always funny. Looks like that guy's taking a big old dooger. And this drawer is a little packed, full of Super Nintendo games. Tecmo Super Bowl 3, Final Edition, SimCity, got Barbie, Donkey Kong Country, Wheel of Fortune, Jurassic Park. Now this drawer should all be games that I've already done uploads on. NHL 95, NHL PA 93, Home Alone. Yeah, I got Home Alone on every system that, well, every Nintendo system that I own. NES, Super... Okay, I don't have N64 version if they ever made one, but I got the NES version, Super NES version, and the Game Boy version. And further in my drawer, actually I'm going to have to use a flashlight to get back there, but we've got the Addams Family, American Gladiators, Monopoly, Krusty Super Punno, Super Battle Tank, Mario's Missing, NBA Jam, Super Caesar's Palace, Tecmo Super Bowl 2 Special Edition, Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Back here we see the Game Genie for the Super NES. Now I've had this for I don't know, 15 years maybe. I bought it as an adult, so I didn't actually own this when I was a teenager, back when I first got the Super Nintendo, but I don't have the book for that, so that's why we can't really do too many games. Eventually, maybe I'll see if I can get the book on eBay. But we've got Tecmo Super Bowl, Side Pocket, Super Battleship, Mortal Kombat, Sim Ant, Jeopardy Sports Edition, NHL 94, Madden 96, I believe. Yeah, Madden 96. Got Micro Machines, Mario Paint, Super High Impact. I got 2 copies of that game. Michael Jordan's Cast in the Windy City. Jeopardy Deluxe Edition. Family Feud. There's the mouse for Super Mario Paint, or just Mario Paint. There's no Super in that game. And the reason all these games are in a drawer and not on my shelf is because I need more of these. This is like, I've only got maybe 1 or 2. These go on the bottom of the cartridges, like dust covers, to protect them from getting dust in them. So I need to get those before I actually put them up on the shelf. We got Beavis and Butthead, Baseball 2000, Super Street Fighter 2, Eye of the Beholder. That is one game we have never seen on my channel, Eye of the Beholder, because I played it and it's really hard. So I want to try figuring out what I'm doing in that game before I try actually doing a video of it. Got Star Trek The Next Generation, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Crossroads of Time, NBA Live 95, MLBPA Baseball, NHL 96, and Mortal Kombat 2. I got on the Super Nintendo. Now I also have a lot of games on the Wii, Nintendo and Super Nintendo games, but I don't think I'm going to show those because I showed them in my last video. And you know, last video I don't think I showed every single NES and Super NES game. I mean, I might have showed them, but I didn't name them all off. PlayStation, I've got NHL 99, Mortal Kombat Trilogy, Army Men 3D, Medal of Honor, Driver, Grand Theft Auto 2, NHL Championship 2000, Star Trek Invasion, and we've got Monopoly on the PS2. Actually, let's go to the N64 first. GoldenEye. There's my Game Shark. Now we have used that for GoldenEye. And Mario Kart 64. This game I didn't have as a kid. I got it as an adult. Actually, well, I guess I didn't even have the... I guess I was an adult when I got the 64. I was 21 years old. But I got this game later in my life. Maybe like 10 years ago. PS2, I got Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, Sims, Celebrity Deathmatch, and Enter the Matrix, All-Star Baseball 2004, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Sims 2, Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories, Civil War, A Nation Divided, Star Trek Encounters, Sims 2 Castaway, and Iron Man. So, those are all the games we got in the drawer. You've seen all my systems I got down here. So I think the next place to go is back up the steps to my shelves. This time I do a better version of commentary on my shelves. Down here I got all my Star Trek episodes. Actually, they used to be Star Trek The Next Generation on VHS tape, but now I've been recording video games over all of them. Some shelves I don't have anything on them yet. Here's all my Nintendo games. I got 720 or 720 degrees, however you want to pronounce it. American Gladiators, Arch Rivals, Back to the Future 2 and 3, Bad Dudes, Baseball Stars. This one here, Jaleco, is Bases Loaded. We got Batman, Batman Returns, Beetlejuice, Bible Adventures, Bill and Ted's Excellent Video Game Adventure, Blades of Steel, Bugs Bunny's Crazy Castle, California Games, Caveman Games, Championship Bowling, Chess Master, and here's another one. Jaleco like to put their name on their cart on the top of the cartridge instead of the game title. That one's City Connection. Classic Concentration, Contra, Deja Vu, Dick Tracy, Double Dribble, Dr. Mario, Friday the 13th, Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters 2, Ice Hockey, Jordan vs. Bird. I don't think I said Home Alone. Well, if I didn't, there's Home Alone. Ice Hockey, Jordan vs. Bird, Karate Kid, Lone Ranger, Major League Baseball, Maniac Mansion, MC Kids, Mickey Mouse Capade, Motor City Patrol. Oh, Monopoly I skipped. North and South, Paperboy, Popeye, POW, Pro Wrestling. Come down to the next shelf. We got Q*bert, Racket Attack, Simpsons, Bert vs. Space Mutants, Snake Rattle and Roll. This one that says Mad on it is Spy vs. Spy. See, these all have dust covers on them, which is why they're on the shelf. We got Stinger, Super Pitfall, TNC Surf Design, Tecmo Super Bowl, Tetris, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, The Three Stooges, Top Gun, Top Gun the Second Mission, Track and Field 2, Wall Street Kid, Where's Waldo, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and WrestleMania. So we still got some more shelves. Right there's a bunch of paint cans. I had to try sticking them all on one shelf because those paint cans are like probably older than me. We got more shelving over here with stuff on them that I got to get rid of. And some more tapes. So, anyway, that was a more detailed look at my video game collection and my systems. And pretty much what's to come as far as the Game Genie. There's a lot of games I want to do with Game Genie, like Super Mario Brothers I definitely want to do, but the only cartridge I have is of Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt, which I couldn't get it to work, so I think I need the actual, just the Super Mario Brothers cartridge. But a lot of these other games, like Super Pitfall, is one I would like to try with the Game Genie. I mean, I guess there's a lot of them I'd like to try. It depends on what codes they got, because some of them have like invincibility codes that others don't have. But many of the LJN games would probably be good for the Game Shark, since most of them don't make sense. At least you can do some fun stuff in those games with the game, or with the Game Genie. I accidentally said Game Shark because Nintendo and Super Nintendo had the Game Genie. Nintendo 64 had the Game Shark, but anyway, I'm not sure exactly which games are going to use the Game Genie for. I guess that's something I have to decide, and they'll just pop up whenever we see them. So I might do another update too when I get more games, when my collection gets bigger. Maybe I'll even get some more systems like the Sega Genesis, which I'd like to get someday, and games for that. Eventually get some games for my Atari. But anyway, that's all the time I got for this video. I'm really running out of things to say, so hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video.